As always, thank you to the amazing YouTubers who helped get me started in 3D printing. Now let's dive right into painting up this bakery accessory. So this stove that you're seeing, I printed here on the Ender 3, came out pretty nice and clean. My Ender is fairly dialed in, so you're seeing a close-up high-res photo. So of course you can see some imperfections, but it looks pretty damn good if you ask me. Great detail on the logs and everything. Here's the back of it. I mean, look how those doors came out. This is going to be really easy to paint up because it printed out really nicely. The little roof part, which you don't see on there yet, is coming up. This was a little test I did about angling my prints, and the one on the left came out way better because it was angled, so I have a video on that. Here it is assembled with the wood pile next to it, which is actually just resting up against it. It's not actually joined to it in any way. So when I look at a model like this, let's talk about painting it. So you're looking at a model, and I'm not a good painter, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this video, because I'm not a good painter. But I do understand a little bit about colors and how to arrange them. So I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, look, I basically want to do this, and I'm always thinking about contrast, by the way, that's why I'm saying this. I want to do the stone in gray, different shades of gray. I know I'm going to highlight it with light gray to white on the edges. So that means I want the door to be set off in a different color. So instead of using just a silver or metallic silver color, I'd rather use a bronzish color because it'll stand out a lot more from the gray I'm going to use. So making things pop off the table is all about contrast. So I know the bread can be a yellowish, creamish color, and the buns or whatever those are in the middle of it. The logs in the stove, I'm going to just smack with a little bit of orange and red and then some whitish, grayish, because charred, burning logs have that kind of glow to them and whatever. And then I'm looking over at the wood pile. I know I can use a nice brown for the top of the wood pile shed. That's going to look really good. It's going to offset very nicely from the gray of the stone next to it. And I also want to make sure that pops a little bit, the wood color, because I need to paint, dried trees in general are gray, and dried logs are definitely gray. So I know I'm going to do those logs in a gray, so I can offset them with the brown wood that I'm going to use for the shed itself. So now that I've seen that, now let's look at at what I did, the painted version, and let me tell you what I did. So first I did a very dark, I'm not going to make you watch me paint it because that's insulting to you. You don't even see me slap a brush down, won't help you. But I sprayed everything a very, very, very dark gray to start. After the dark gray, I went and I took 2 different shades of gray that were both lighter than that. And what I did is I looked and I picked out, say, I didn't want to do too much work, so I picked out, say, every 5th or every 6th brick, maybe even every 10th brick. I didn't really count. And I hit it with a kind of medium gray. Then I hit 1 out of every 10 bricks with a very light gray. And then I hit about 5 bricks on the whole thing with a kind of like a desert yellow color. And what I did there was I mixed a little bit of gray into that desert yellowish. So when I went to dry brush, I want to be able to dry brush with a very light gray. So I wanted to make sure even my brown had tones of gray in it. So first, I painted all those bricks up, and that only took me about 10-15 minutes. I wasn't even that careful because even if you bleed a little bit of one of those colors onto another brick, since I'm going to be dry brushing those all with a very light gray, it's going to cover a lot of those mistakes. So I whacked all the bricks, and then I dry brushed everything. I reached in with a small brush and started whacking. Actually, first I took a yellow, because I think when I look in my fireplace, if I can recall, it's kind of a yellowish glow in there. So I painted the back wall and the side walls of the fire pit areas yellow, which you probably can't really see in the photo. And then I just went and whacked the logs with a little bit of orange, a little bit of red. It was really quick. I just not very careful at all. Like I said, I'm not even a good painter, so I figured on tabletop you won't notice. I just kind of smacked it all around, as you can probably see. After that, I went and did the bread with kind of like I think it was an off-white, like mummy robes color, and then 1 drop of yellow. I just hit the bread a few times and the muffins a few times. And then I went and did a bronze color on the outside of the oven door. And it's really hard to see in the picture, but I did do a metallic silver. I think my flash kind of blew out the color so it looks like the brick, but in person it's a nice shiny metallic silver, and the bricks are actually not as shiny as they look in this picture, so it looks way better in person. You can tell the door is metal, although I know it looks a little funky here. Sorry about that. So that's it. And then on the back I did the same thing. I just hit bronze around the outside of the door to set it off, to give the contrast, and then a shiny metallic, dulled down a little bit on the back doors as well. So that just left the woodshed. So the woodshed was easy. I hit all the logs inside with, they already had the dark gray primer, so I didn't have to worry about that too much. Then I did a very dark brown on the outside of all the wooden parts. And then I just basically lightly dry brushed those with kind of like a snake bite leather with a drop of white mixed into it. And then I went over to the dried logs in the log shed. I went over those dried logs, which is a lighter shade of gray. I whacked it a bunch of times, kind of overbrushed more than dry brushed to get a lot of color on. And then I went back with an almost white and then dry brushed those logs. And that's it, done. I mean, this is from a guy who can't really paint that well and didn't spend much time on it. And yeah, in a high-res photo, you're looking at it, you might say, yeah, it's not that good actually. And again, that's why I made the video, because it's not that good. But you go 2 feet away from it, you put it down on the table and put some figures next to it, and damn, this thing looks beautiful, if you ask me. So I'm actually I wouldn't say proud of it. I'm very happy with the way it looks is what I'll say instead. And all the terrain in this photo is the same way. None of it is painted great to a high level. I paint those trees in like 5 minutes, and I'm going to do a video on that as well. So you can get what I think is really great looking, tabletop standard, even maybe a step above that if you're looking at this, if you like it. And you can do it really quickly. You don't have to spend a ton of time painting this stuff up to make your table look really, really nice. So anyway, hope you liked it. Hope you subscribe. Hope you watch my other videos. If you want to see how to print all this stuff up, I have some really good instructional videos on how to do that as well. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you again soon.